少人会要走，你是第二个都发很快，
是啊，
第一年啊，你是第二个问我。
Click on interest. I make sure to be back here at 11:55. 11:55.
The Sky train is approaching. Please give way to alighting passengers.
Everybody flying off after 6 p.m. That means tonight or tomorrow morning. No one's flying before. Okay, now next let me quickly run through the name list. Make sure my guests are all here. So kindly acknowledge when you hear your names being called, and apologize if I pronounce the name incorrectly. friendly. No. After the tour, when we come back to the airport, after the tour and come back to the airport, do remember to bring everything down with you, including whatever rubbish you may have accumulated along the way. Now, in the event you forgot something really important, like your passport or your wallet or your handphone or your expensive sweater or jacket or your laptop bag or your bag or your boyfriend, a few of the rest. But yes, once word of Singapore got out to the region and then businessmen start to come over, unskilled laborers start to come over, then the population here grew steadily. So in 5 short years, the population grew from 1,000 to 20,000. Massive increase. So by the time Raffles came back here in 1824, he was possibly just standing by the mouth of the Singapore River and he was looking across the area and he was very pleased because he sees lots of activities. He sees lots of people, lots of activities, business activities. He saw houses, he saw shops, he saw warehouse and go downs. Very good, very active. But then it was rather messy, disorganized, untidy, and he didn't like it. Because apparently the British like order. So he sat down and came up with what is known as the Raffles Town Plan. Okay, that was Singapore's first urban town planning. And in that plan, the whole downtown area were divided into different zones for the different groups of people to live in. So center to the plan was the Singapore River, because that's the center of activity way back. On the north bank is the civic district, so government buildings. On the right bank is the commercial square, so the businesses, starting on trading posts, and it went from strength to strength. And then today we have one of the busiest port in the world. Okay, so most likely a lot of those big ships there, they have already unloaded their goods at our busy port, and they're just parking there. Because you know it's very expensive to drive an empty ship all the way back to your own country. It's very far for no cargo. Okay, so much better to just park there. Probably you have to pay some see all the big ships outside. The 2 shells are the 2 conservatories in our gardens by the bay, our world-class garden. Behind you can see our famous super trees. Okay, next, this below is the F1 starting grid. So we had a race 2 weeks ago, so now they're okay. Now to the right side, the 2 thorny and spiky buildings are our Esplanade Theatres by the Bay, our world-class performing arts venue. Okay, and then you can see the Merlion. You can see our national icon Merlion spouting water into the reservoir. And then this lotus-shaped building is the Art Science Museum, showcasing contemporary exhibitions around the year. Okay, and then now behind the hotel, and then back to the left, 3 of the super trees, followed by another 12 of them. Okay, next time you come back, and if you manage to join the city tour, that tour will bring you to visit the Merlion and the Gardens by the Bay. Okay, that tour. Okay, my friends, so just now on the right side you saw the Esplanade Theatre, you saw the Merlion, you saw the Gardens by the Bay. That whole area collectively is Marina Bay. That's arguably Singapore's most famous place. When you Google Singapore, okay, the first of many photos that will pop up will most likely from that area. Okay, so today that is already the done deal. Okay, that area is almost totally developed already. And over here we are now at Marina South. Okay, this is pending the future development because this area, the land has only been reclaimed not that long ago. So you know, new land, you got to lay fallow for a couple of years before you can start to build the tall buildings on top. Now, one of the things that I always like to share here, if it sounds a bit technical or dry, is that below us, these roads and probably the pavement as well, we have what is known as the common service tunnel. Here is the new CBD, okay? And one interesting feature over here is, if you notice these buildings, a lot of them are glass facade. Okay, glass facade. Now, if you're thinking, glass doesn't that mean it's going to be very hot in the day? Yeah, it is glass. But then you notice the facade has a greenish or bluish tint. Okay, apparently that tint still allows natural light to come into the spaces within, but deflects the heat out. So you spend less energy trying to cool the environment. Okay, so if you're looking for a great spread of international food stalls in one location, make a date with this Lau Pasar. Great place to have lunch or dinner there. Alright, and then coming up, Telok Ayer Street. This word means bay water. So actually, that street was the original coast over here. So the Chinese first landed over here, and that's why I mentioned this area, the Hokkiens, mostly inhabited by the Hokkiens. And the housing that you're looking at, the 2-3 story high housing, those are the original housing here in Singapore. They are known as shop houses. Downstairs are the shops, not offices, but warehouse and go-downs where businessmen used to store their goods and sacks of grains and all that. And then upstairs would be the housing where people live. Okay, so we are reaching our first location very soon. So folks, get ready for our first stroll. Okay, so finally we're in Chinatown, the touristy part. Now, I say this is Chinatown, right? But yet, on your right, you can see Masjid Jame Chulia, an Indian Muslim mosque, and even better, Sri Mariamman Temple. Okay, the biggest Hindu temple in Singapore is here in Chinatown. Why? Because according to the original Raffles Town plan, if you remember, the Chinese community was supposed to develop here. So did the Indian community. Okay, they did start off here, but later that group relocated to the other side of the river. But the places of worship still remain. Okay, so later along the way, you will be able to spot 1 or 2 more Hindu temples as well. Okay, so turning into the coach bay and get ready for our first stroll. Okay, remember, bring everything down. Okay, come my friends.
不要不要。
来，拿人吃掉烟，老王吃掉烟。
真係啲跑出來了。I was just ready so that pilgrims from all over can come and see, but he wasn't able to. 2002, he came here. He met a Chinese monk. They hit off rather well, and in the end, he decided to hand this relic to this Chinese monk and ask him, please try and raise the funds to build a nice big temple. And unfortunately, after that, the Indian monk passed away. Okay, so Chinese monk felt obligated to fulfill his friend's wish. So 5 years, raise money. Okay, tourism board also chipped in, and then 2007, the temple was completed. So new, but this design is unique here in Singapore, because if you go around the traditional temples in Singapore, they are mostly designed. Kampong Glam coming up next. I'm sure you'll find things interesting to see. I'm pretty sure. Okay, but of course, the challenge of all these places that we're visiting is that because the population has already moved out. Okay, most of the population have already moved out to across the entire island. All right. So as a result, lots of the traditional businesses were unable to continue, partly because of volume, partly because of technology. Along the way, you see. Before that, I want you to just remember the name of this queue. Remember the name of this queue. Look up. Look up. Look up. with condensed milk. Potent competition. Okay, so one. The first street that we walk across is the murals and not my fault, right? Okay. So say something. Don't go Jewel looking for SkyTrain, because Jewel is not inside the airport. Okay, it's outside. So the SkyTrain is within the terminal. You can enter any of the terminal first, and then from inside, take the SkyTrain to the other terminal.